We probably can start. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, honorable guests, esteemed colleagues, and my dear students. I'm 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒉𝒊𝒏𝒈, Assistant Professor in Sociology at the Department of Political Science and Sociology and Coordinator of the Center for Peace Studies of South Asian Institute of Policy and Governance at North-South University. Would like to welcome you all to the launching ceremony of North-South Journal of Peace and Global Studies. Today marks a historic moment for CPS as we launch the journal and website, following our third anniversary program on February 27th of this year. Over the past 3 years, CPS has conducted research and organized national and international seminars, webinars, and policy discussions, engaging our students group in peace building using evidence-based knowledge and skill development. CPS is also conducting 9 research projects this year, which will be disseminated to a wider audience by the end of 2023. Today, I'd like to acknowledge the members who decided to publish the CPS journal back in 2020. Particularly, Dr. Bulbul Arshad Siddiqui and Professor Tawfiq M. Haq, and those who have been part of the discussion in the strategic planning meeting of CPS for 2020 and 2024 are Dr. Joshim, Dr. Haris, Dr. Ishrat, Professor Shahidul Haq, Dr. Catherine, Professor Norman, and Ms. Tata Jaffer. In 2021, the responsibilities of publishing the journal fully relied on the editor and the managing editor. Thanks to the relentless effort of both the managerial editor, Professor Mohammad Nuruzzaman, and the editor, Professor Norman Suazo, this dream has now become a reality. In this special occasion, we are delighted to have with us our Vice Chancellor, Professor Atiqul Islam, who has transformed North-South University from a teaching university to a research-centric university. We also have with us our Pro-Vice Chancellor, maybe will be joining later, our Professor M. Ismail Hussain, our Dean, just entered into our room of Humanities and Social Sciences, Dr. Abdul Rauf Khan, and also Professor Imtiaz Ahmed from the Department of International Relations, the Director of the Center for Genocide Studies at Dhaka University, and online joined former Chair of the Department of Peace and Conflict Studies, Mr. Saifuddin Ahmed, and the Director of CPS, Professor Tawfiq M. Haq. And also we have with us our School of Business and Economics Dean with us as well. Now, I would like to invite Professor S.K. Tawfiq M. Haq, Director of CPS and SIPG, North-South University, and Chair of the Department of Political Science and Sociology, to share his thoughts on this special occasion. Professor Tawfiq.
Thank you, Dr. Wahab, the coordinator of Center for Peace Studies of South Asian Institute of Policy and Governance of North-South University. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to have all you in this today's launching ceremony of North-South Journal of Peace and Global Studies organized by CPS of NSU. Before we begin, I would like to take a brief moment to highlight our work here at South Asian Institute of Policy and Governance. In Bangladesh, this institute, which is popularly known as SIPG, is the preeminent research institute with a regional focus on policy and governance. Our organization is engaged in extensive research and publication regarding public policy, governance, peace and conflict, geopolitics, and migration issues. We currently operate 2 journals. The journal that we are publishing for last couple of years is called South Asian Journal of Policy and Governance. And the new journal that we are now today going to launch is this NSU North-South Journal of Peace and Global Studies. Beyond that, SIPG has also published numerous books, working papers, policy briefs, and articles in internationally reputed journals. SIPG also offers two master's programs. One is our Masters in Public Policy and Governance, offered to civil servants from Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, and Sri Lanka, in order to enhance their expertise in policy and governance issues. Since 2021, we have also started a new master's program, which is called Executive Masters in Policy and Governance. SIPG has two centers. One center is called Center for Migration Studies, which has newly been established last year, and the Center for Peace Studies, which is almost 3 years old. The Center for Peace Studies, which has organized today's events, is an interdisciplinary center that seeks to facilitate the academic study of peace building and the promotion of a resilient society through evidence-based and empirical research. And this is interdisciplinary in a true sense because we have members from all schools in NSU, whether it is a business school or engineering or life science, and also humanities and social sciences. CPS is a research active center of SIPG, and this last 2 years, we have published 2 books, a series of working papers and policy briefs. There are 32 faculty members of CPS who are actively working under this center. And as Dr. Wahab already mentioned, the CPS members are conducting this year 9 research projects which are related to peace and global studies. The launching of this journal is a testimony of CPS's commitment towards generating new knowledge and disseminating it to the students, policymakers, and other relevant actors. In this occasion, I would like to give special thanks to Professor Norman Suazo, the editor of the journal and a very active member of CPS, and also Professor Nuruzzaman, managing editor and member of CPS, and also 5 associate editors for their hard work for publishing the first issue, as well as developing a journal website, which will maintain a full online system starting from submission, reviewing to publishing. This biannual blind review journal will have 2 issues each year, January issue and July issue. We have a plan to convert it into an index journal by next 1.5 years and get it published by a reputed international publishing house. Publishing a good quality index journal from a developing country like Bangladesh is not an easy task. And thanks to the editorial team to take this challenge. And finally, I wish all the successes of these new ventures. Thank you.
Thanks, Professor Tawfiq, for reflecting on the ongoing activities of SIPG, CPS, and CMS. It is my great pleasure to introduce you to the managing editor of the journal, Professor Mohammad Nuruzzaman. He's an international relations expert at the Department of Political Science and Sociology, North-South University. Okay. So, yes, the managing will be hearing from managing editor later, but first I would like to invite, it's my honor to call upon the editor of the journal, Dr. Norman Suazo, research and professor in philosophy, North-South University, to reflect on his journey published journal. Yes, Professor Suazo.
Thank you, Dr. Wahab. As editor of the journal, it is my pleasure to be able to congratulate SIPG and CPS on being successful with an initiative that they undertook. I'm pleased that they have had some opportunity to make progress with this with the help of the editorial team. So obviously this would not have happened without the hard work of all the members of the editorial team. So I'd like to ask the members of the editorial team to stand when I call your name so that you might be recognized. First of all, the managing editor who has worked tremendously hard, Dr. Mohammad Nuruzzaman, Professor of Political Science. If you would stand, please, so people can see who you are. Yes. Our associate editors, the Dean of SBE and Professor of Economics, Dr. Hilal Ahmed. Dr. Rizwanul Islam, Professor of Law. Dr. 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒉𝒊𝒏𝒈 Siddiqui, Associate Professor of Sociology and Director of the Confucius Institute. Dr. Ishrat Sultana, Assistant Professor of Sociology. And of course, Dr. Abdul Wahab, Assistant Professor of Sociology. As Dr. Tawfiq said, it is our hope that within, I'd say, Volume 2, Issue 2, or Volume 3, Issue 1, we should be ready to try for proper indexing of this journal. I think it would be a significant achievement for North-South University if we get a journal that is indeed properly indexed in the usual way for peer-reviewed journals. So with these few remarks, I'll turn this over to our managing editor for substantive remarks. Dr. Wahab. Okay, Dr. Norzam.
Yeah, I will do that. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Atiqul Islam, a special guest, my distinguished colleagues, and especially the members of the journal editorial team. Assalamu alaikum and good evening, good afternoon to you all. So as the managing editor of this journal, I have had a story to share with you, and I will do that as briefly as I can. So today, in fact, is a special day for the editorial team members because you now see the final product in our hands. But this journey started, I think, almost a year ago. That means in the last 12 months, we worked so hard to publish the Volume 1, Issue 1 of this particular journal. Now, after we had the call for papers developed by Professor Norman Swajo, we started distributing that to as many people as possible. Personally, I contacted all my friends and my professors in the European and North American academies. And I believe that Professor Norman Swajo did the same, as well as the other members of the editorial team. But the response was extremely negative. Nobody wanted to contribute a paper because this is a brand new journal without its own website. It is not going to be indexed according to them in the next few years by Scopus and other academic ranking institutions. So that was actually a big disappointment, uncertainty. But we did not give up because we hate to fail. We must not end up with failures. So that was the spirit with which we actually worked in the last 12 months. So after failing to get contributions from my teachers and friends, I launched a diplomatic charm offensive with the colleagues from my own university. Personally, with the cooperation of my colleague, Dr. Bulbul, and also Dr. Abdul Wahab, we contacted 3 distinguished academic scholars of NSU. 3 of them actually initially promised to contribute papers, but eventually 2 of them backed away. And the last one, I think Professor 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒉𝒊𝒏𝒈 is not present here. He agreed reluctantly. And eventually, we got his contribution and it is included in the first issue of the journal. Now, this is how actually we have come to this point. This is how we have got to this special day for the Center for Peace Studies, for the journal editorial team and other members of North-South University. So in all, we received 9 submissions. 9 submissions in all, then 4 submissions were rejected after internal reviews. We had only 5 articles in hand. Still, the shocking experience is to come. At the 11th hour, one contributor decided to withdraw his paper. The paper was ready. We got it reviewed by one Bangladeshi and another non-Bangladeshi experts. And because he wanted to withdraw the paper, so we could not proceed with it. Personally, I got a little bit angry with that particular person, but Professor Swajo handled the situation quite well, I think. So I wanted to give him a sharp reaction, but Professor Norman said, no, let's deal with it academically. I said, okay, please deal with it. Okay, this is that's the story of this successful publication. Now, in the process of publication of this journal, we have got highly appreciable, sincere cooperation from many persons. I especially thank the contributors. Our contributors, Dr. 𝒐𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒉𝒊𝒏𝒈 and Dr. Raymond Lau, they are both present here, and also Dr. 𝒂𝒖𝒏𝒄𝒉𝒊𝒏𝒈 and his co-authors. And we have another paper by Dr. Harisur Rahman and a good number of co-authors. So, and the last one by my own student at the University of Dhaka, Professor Tanjimuddin Khan. I contacted him and he immediately agreed to contribute a paper. I understood the privilege of having a student like him at the University of Dhaka. So appreciations to all of you. I sincerely thank for your contributions to make this journal a reality throughout the process. And secondly, we have also developed a website for the journal. We contacted a local vendor, website developer, and this is 𝑧𝒖𝒂𝒄𝒆. And we did not have much trust in them, to be frank here, but still wanted to give them the chance to give a try. And eventually, they have succeeded and succeeded appreciably. And in the middle sitting here, the SA website distinguished guests, please raise your hand and stand up so that other people can see you. So we also thank the software engineer, Sumanto Rai. Please stand up. So he's the guy who has actually managed the whole website. I actually disturbed him day and night to make all the corrections on the website. And he never got tired of making changes on the website. So thank you very much as a software engineer. And we hope to continue our cooperation with you. And again, you know that at the end of the day, what matters is money, the financial cooperation. So I should extend all my gratitude, my sense of honest gratitude to our Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Atikul Islam, for extending all out financial cooperation. We have got every support we requested. Now, why I say this? Because I have worked at different universities in Canada, in the Middle East. All research centers, publications were left up to the director and the board of governing body members. So university did not pay us anything. We had to go for endowments, collect money from these people, and then publish. But North-South University is really an exception. We have got everything even without asking for that. Sir, I hope that we continue to receive your cooperation in the future. And last but not the least, at the same time, we started working for this journal. Another student body, they also started working for a student research journal. I am also the academic faculty advisor to that particular journal. It is almost in the final stage. They got some 50 submissions. After internal reviews, 50% rejected, and still 25 papers. And finally, we have some 10 papers ready to go to the press. We hope to send the whole issue to the press by the 3rd week of this month. And by the last week, you will see student research journals probably in a better image, a better cover page than this one. So, and the publication ceremony of that journal will be launched, I think, in the 1st or 2nd week of April. All the academic editorial team members are present here. Please raise your hand. The student research journal, academic research journal editorial members. So thank you very much for following up to keep the pace with us, the faculty members. We appreciate your efforts. North-South University is going to be one of the best universities, not only in Bangladesh, but in South Asia, in Asia as a whole. And I think your contribution will make significant weightage to that journey. And I would like to thank everyone present today in this journal. I also hope that you would try to make contributions. You would try to submit articles for possible publication in this particular journal. So thank you very much. And again, thank you very much for joining this particular publication launching ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, especially Nuruzzaman, sir. You know that every success has a story to share. So today, he rightly shared the story, which was challenging, I believe. And I would like to ensure all of you, those who are present here, that after the first issue, we already got a confirmation there will be somebody from outside of Bangladesh will be submitting a paper for our next issue. And there will be no challenge to be faced for our editorial members and also associate editors. I'd like to mention during managerial editor speech, we already joined with us our another author, especially 𝒂𝒄𝒉𝒊𝒏𝒈 sir is here. He also contributed, and some of them joining online, especially I'd like to mention, I think, let me get their name. Okay, so Dr. Wei joining from China. He also contributed with Dr. Haris, and also Dr. Bulbul contributed in the same author, and also Gao Jianbin and Tata Jafar is here. They contributed in a paper as well. And also joining online, I think, Case Habibur Rahman and also Khalid Mohammad Saifullah, co-author of the paper with Professor Govinda, also joining with us. The thanks for them to joining with this. Now, I think our Vice Chancellor also be contributing, but now you can see our university, like the student-centric all the times. And we had a, teaching-centric university transform into the research-centric. Now, I would request sir to guide us to get to the industry affiliation of the university as well. So not only the teaching, but also research and industry affiliation. And that's the way North-South University will establish their, success continuously in Bangladesh and in the global level as well. Now, I'd like to invite our special guest, the Honorable Dean, School of Humanities and Social Science, Professor Abdul Rahman Khan, to share his reflection on the journal. Professor Rob.
Assalamu alaikum. Honorable Vice Chancellor of North-South University, Professor 𝒂𝒄𝒉𝒊𝒏𝒈, editor and managing editor of North-South Journal of Peace and Global Studies. Dear colleagues, I'm Professor Imtiaz Ahmed, our special guest today. Dear colleagues, students, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon again. It's really my pleasure to heartily thank the editor, managing editor, and also the editorial board of this journal. I think this is an excellent journal. It has every touch of professionalism in it. And also the color combination, also the way you have, I just tried to find out if there is any loophole. I could not find out any loophole. So I think this is a professional journal, and this is the first issue. And if they can bring out at least 2 more issues in a row, I think the journal is going to survive and survive as a professional journal. So I must thank all of you for this excellent contribution. And I think this journal will survive and become a name in the professional world, in the Journal of International Relations and Global Studies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rob, sir, for your wonderful word. I hope the journal will continue to grow. Now we have another special guest joining online. I think the former chair of the Department of Peace and Conflict Studies of Dhaka University, Mr. Saifuddin Ahmed, I'll request him to share his valuable insights with us. Mr. Saifuddin.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm sorry I cannot be in video mode. And Honorable Vice Chancellor of North-South University, Professor Muhammad Atiqul Islam, and the guest editors and managing editors and the authors and contributors of the journal published and launched by Center for Peace Studies. I am really thankful that you have invited me to this August occasion and give opportunity to tell me something. So as a faculty member of Peace and Conflict Studies at Dhaka University and an adjunct faculty of North-South University, I think this journal will contribute a great deal because the discipline requires huge research in home and abroad, and in Bangladesh especially, we have different research works regarding structural violence, direct violence in home, and in current situation of global arena is really conflict prone, and we need a policy input, and for that reason we need research exposure and exploring our ideas, and I believe that this journal will contribute in this context, and I wish and hope all success of the editorial board of the journal and the people behind this, and they will contribute in future to give insight to the policymakers of Bangladesh. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Saifuddin Bhai, for sharing your encouraging words with us. Now, I request our special guest, Dr. Imtiaz Ahmed, professor at the Department of International Relations and director of the Center for Genocide Studies, and he is expert on international relations as well, to share his valuable speech with us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for that introduction. The session chaired Professor Atiqul Islam, the Vice Chancellor of North-South University, Dr. Norman Swazo, Director of Research, my, I guess a former student, Nurul Zaman, not to mention, I also see Rob Bhai here. Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity to say a few words on the journal. Having the experience, I have, some of you would know, in publishing journals for many years, and I'm still part of many editorial board. So, I'll come up with some sharp remarks so that you can look forward, to the journal. Now, as a first issue, it's promising. I see 2 COVID-19 and 1 Ukraine, and other my colleague and former student Tanzim writing on environment and corporate interests. Excellent in terms of contemporaneous. All the 4 papers are contemporary. There's no doubt about it. But let me highlight 4 or 5 things. First, the challenge is to continue it. The first 2-3 issues are very simple. And Tanzim is nodding his head because he is also involved, he was involved with me on several occasions publishing journals. 2-3 issues are, will be very smooth. It's the 10th and 12th and 15th issue which is the tough one, believe it or not. The first 3, 4 would not be a problem, but don't be complacent when you have the first 3 or 4. Be complacent when you have the 20th or 25th, then you can be complacent. That it has stood. It takes that much time, believe it or not, for a journal to stand up. So that is the first thing I don't want to discourage you at all. Please, I've come here to encourage you. But from my experience, I say this very frankly, don't get excited with the first 2, 3 issues, but get excited after 20th or 25th issues. Now, how you can do it, and since I'm involved in some of the journals, I can tell you how it is done globally. One is you can make at least one. I'm not sure how many issues you are going to bring out. Well, if it is 3 or 4, or let's say 2 annually to begin with, 2 annually, at least make one thematic. It helps, believe it or not. I was almost thinking that all 4 articles would be on COVID-19. You could have had this one on COVID-19. Ukraine is another one. Thematic can go easily and the other one can be open. So in that way, you can balance the interest of the people, because there are contemporary issues where people would want to publish it very quickly, and you will have a wider audience as well. So that's the first thing, that make it thematic. Now, how do you do that? Then also there are ways to do that. One is take a research project to make it thematic. Research and journal must go together. And this is something that we often, we forget, because it is, you publish what you have researched in somehow. And since a research takes 6 months to 1 year, you can at least get one issue out of that research. So one way out would be to research. No problem. No problem. The other would be to hold conferences, then you can also publish some conference papers. So in that way, you at least minimize the tension, that you have, of getting good papers. So one would be research and other would be conferences. Let me be blunt also on the issue of honorarium. Honorarium helps. Dr. Rob Khan would know, he has worked on BISS journal. The day the BISS journal agreed to raise the honorarium, papers start flowing in. So I would request the Vice Chancellor to open his heart and mind and everything that he has on the issue of funds, because it's very important. In that way, you can attract. And if it's quite a handsome fund, then a lot of people would be interested. Otherwise, they would continue to do some project on some other issues and get money from there. Now, the last point, and I'll end by this last point, which I think is critical. You need to make the journal stand to its name. And the name is North-South, as I see. The name also includes peace and global studies. It is important to have a journal where the epistemology or sources of knowledge must be central to Bangladesh. That way you can make a difference. Now, why I say this? Now, Bangladesh is, after all, 7th or 8th largest country in the world. There's a debate on that, but at least we can say there are more Bangladeshis than Russians currently. So as the 7th or 8th largest country in the world, and with the development trajectory that we have, believe it or not, in next 20 years, Bangladesh will be a different Bangladesh globally. And so you must target yourself to project Bangladesh in this journal. So my concern is, and I have always, it has always been my case, our sources of knowledge, fortunately or unfortunately, is very Western-centric. And that doesn't help at all. Because the writer, whoever it is, must have some ground, some kind of ground relationship. Otherwise, it doesn't work in the long term. So the epistemological concerns are very interesting. And why I say that, let's take, for example, the word peace. Now, somehow we have this idea that the peace is kind of Eurocentric with Galtoon and some other members in helping us to understand peace. But peace has been very central to South Asia and to Bengal. Very central, And it's not only Gandhi who has worked on peace. Take Lalon, for example. And the whole Lalonian discourse is peace. So the word Shanti is much older concept than peace, actually. So I would request the members of the journal to look into epistemology, because if the sources are predominantly from one region, and if it is all West, then you miss the reality. Because the reality that we see now, particularly in global politics, is the coming of multipolarity. And there is no way to stop this multipolar world. The days of unipolarity is coming to an end. The world is not going towards bipolarity. China is not at all interested in having a bipolar world. It doesn't really help China at all. Rather, a multipolar world helps China much in a bigger way. But apart from China, the rise of India, the rise of some of the African countries, and you can see the changes even with, yesterday's news of Saudi Arabia and Iran making, interesting kind of a breakthrough, tells you that we are moving towards a multipolar world. And there, Bangladesh has a unique chance of contributing. Now, why I said this? Back in the 18th century, China was the largest economy in the world. They lost out in 19th and 20th centuries. So what we have today is actually the rise of China and not rise of China. Similarly, back in the 18th century, undivided India was the second largest economy in the world. So what you see with India or even with Bangladesh, because in 18th century, in that undivided India, Bengal was the richest province. So what you see today is a re-rise of India and a re-rise of cartographically massacred Bangladesh. It got cartographically massacred at the hands of the British. I'm sure all of you are familiar with that. But even with the cartographical massacred Bangladesh, just imagine, because when we talk of Bengal, it's always Greater Bengal, and Bengal means Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa. The British could not tolerate that. So my argument here, and I will end by saying this, that please give a sense, at least you can make the journal look towards 20 to 30 to 40 years, so that by the time Bangladesh develops to the point people want it to develop, this journal can carry through and say that they have made a contribution. That, I think, is the promise that I see in this journal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Imtiaz, sir, for your wonderful remark, and also reminding us the challenges, possible challenges we might be facing in future. Continue the journal. But I would like to ensure you, North South University, especially the director of SIPG and CPS and CMS, ensured us all the time, the sky is our limit. Money is not a problem. BC sir is here, so money is not a problem as long as you continue doing your right work, like the research. That's what you mentioned. This year only, CPS is a center conducting 9 research projects, and that would be disseminating by the end of this year. So And that's why we hope to continue the journal the way we started with. And I would like to introduce with you, I think, our dean, especially School of Health and Life Science, Professor Dr. Hassan Mahmoud Reza joined with us, and also Dean, School of Engineering and Physical Science, Professor Dr. 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒉 also joining with us. I thank sir for joining in this special occasion. Now, I'd like to request our Vice Chancellor, Professor M. Ismail Hussain, to deliver his speech in this special occasion. Sir, over to you.
Honorable Chairman, Professor 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒉𝒊𝒏𝒈, distinguished guest, Mr. Imtiaz, Dr. Imtiaz, and Office of Research Director, Norman Swajo, my colleagues and my dear students. I was in a different meeting and I captured the meeting to join this. I did not know that I have to deliver my lecture here. Okay. Professor Imtiaz made many important points, and I would like to emphasize one of his points in my deliberation. This is, you remember when the Western countries started establishing universities, they started research and they started to publish also those research in journals. We have started universities, we have started research and publishing, but we have not published any quality journal, world standard journal. Okay, so this is one opportunity for North-South University to publish a world-class student journal. And Professor Imtiaz has indicated certain strategies to make it popular and improve its standard day by day, and publish on things which are applied and which relate to our own history, own culture, own economy, own geography, basically, and also on international issues. So by focusing on Bangladesh, so that foreign researchers, external researchers, refer to our work. At present, we refer to work which are conducted by foreign experts. But let us start a history whereby foreign experts will refer to journals published in North-South University Student Journal. That should be our motto, that we will publish a journal where world standard articles will be published and others will refer to this journal. That is my wish. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful guideline for continue publishing this journal. And now I'd like to, everybody knows that, like CPS jointly, International Humanitarian Society, this is a Europe-based organization and working globally, organizing an international seminar by end of this year. So there might be a special issue on this seminar and publishing CPS journal. So that's one of the things will make our work more easy and compatible with the theme and also with the vision of CPS. Now, I'm pleased to invite especially the session chair of this event, our Vice Chancellor, Professor Atiqul Islam, to share his valuable speech with us. Vice Chancellor, Professor Atiqul Islam.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. This is always a cause for celebration when you're going to publish a new journal. But the birth pangs of a new journal is quite testing. I myself started editing a 2-year-old journal because a colleague of mine changed the university. And I was the editor of the journal for about 11 years. It took us about 3 years after I took over to become, at least to break even, to recover the costs. So I understand that it is not something that sells instantly or becomes self-reliant instantly. But then I'll also warn the publishers, do not test our patience and our friendship. So get on with the job from day one. And our students can manage huge functions with industry contributions. There are always endowments and stuff, and I'm sure that you look for those too. After all, there's a limit to budget funding for journals, for research. It's part of the total research funding. So as long as you do well, show good promise, I'll be with you. If there are signs of topsy-turvy sort of a journey, then the life support might be turned off. So please take the warning. Look, the universities are established for creating knowledge and disseminating knowledge. A journal creates knowledge or helps create knowledge. A journal basically carries knowledge and spreads it. For example, you may have the greatest idea in the world, but unless you can share it with other people, it won't get the attention it needs. Therefore, what you do is your ideas you publish in a professional journal. That professional journal is read by the practitioners of the profession. If they feel that your ideas are also, of course, the editors will make sure that what you say in your article, if it is a so-called a priori research article, but what you say is, if it's an analytical research article, it is what they say, internally consistent. In other words, it has logical validity, and they will also see that it has some theoretical import. If the relationship that you propose in your paper, if that really was to hold true, what difference does it make? Why should we be interested? So obviously, you can publish at that stage, which is sometimes subjected to, most of the time subjected to, the syntactical tests. Is the logic impeccable? Is the story consistent? Is the structure right? Does it come to a conclusion that, if true, will be of any use to anyone? Then, of course, if you come up with a huge sort of what they call in research, they have a word for it, something that is seminal kind of research. You started your research tradition with it. If people like your ideas, they might be interested to test them in whether they hold true in the real world, the semantics of it. And then and the results of this testings will also be published in professional journals. So it will be either supported or it will be refuted. So whatever happens, that is the intellectual exercise. And then, of course, some research will have what is called pragmatic importance, applicability. If you find out relationship between A and B is this, no, so what? Basically, it has to help. It is to help design a product or help lift people's, lift people mentally or solve some other problem. For example, the law of friction basically tells you that you do not design car wheels that are square shaped, right? Law of friction tells you that it's got to be round, it's less friction. Then again, you've got to be able to brake a car. It should not skid when you brake. So all these theories, they are at the end to help human beings, to reduce human sufferings, to improve the quality of human life. So I was going to refer to a story, but for the sake of time, I won't refer to that. Maybe I should. Huh? If you have read Sherlock Holmes, there is an episode, the Scarlet what? I'll come to that. In this story, Sherlock Holmes was investigating, and he found all he could find. What he found was a hat. And he made the comment, look, we're after a very intelligent criminal. Dr. Watson was always with him. He would never let go any of the statements unchallenged. So he said, what do you mean? You got only a hat? He said, yeah. Dr. Watson, it's all a matter of cubic capacity. And this, can you explain it more? He said, yeah. This is a large head. The person who wears it must have a large head. And a large head, in all possibility, will harbor a large brain. And I need to tell any more? So obviously, what Sherlock Holmes is giving here is a theory that people with large heads will be more intelligent than people with small heads, right? So if you're interested to really find out, is it the truth? What do you do? So at the syntactical level, at the logical level, there are reasons to believe that it's a reasonable statement. But at semantical level, you're going to find out whether this is true. Does it hold in the real world? In other words, do people with large heads have more brains? And are the brains just a matter of quantity or quality matters? So if you're interested, you'll design experiments. For example, our respected researchers could go and say, okay, let's get 50 and 52 groups, a control group, an experimental group, whatever you call it. Okay. We have 50 people with small brains, 50 people with large brains. Okay. 2 groups, we give them IQ test. We record their performance. And then we do with a nice hammer, crack their heads and get the brain out and weigh and see if the ones with the heaviest brain is correlated with the highest IQ score. So I'm joking, don't crack people's heads. The thing is, the reality is they will then see whether it holds in the real world. So that's what research is. So you can publish the research at a priori level, at analytical level, at syntactical level. And then people might do more research based on that. And what they find will also be published in journals again. See, no theory is a theory unless it is agreed by the practitioners, practicing scholars of the discipline. So how will they know what you have got in here or on your notebook? You've got to publish. So that's where the important publication is. Publications really do what the bees do for the fruits and flowers. It's good to see that North-South University is coming up with another journal. This time it's in the peace area, which is very much in short supply in today's world. And hopefully lots of people are interested in it. Billions of dollars are being spent every year to maintain peace. As some say, you got to fight for peace. You have those kind of oxymorons. Anyway, I wish the journal well, and we will support it because we feel that in the interest of our country, in the interest of the current world, there is need for research on peace building, peacekeeping, and if we can prevent violence or eruption of violence beforehand. So I wish the journal well. About I thought one of our honorable speakers said that Professor Rob knows the beneficial effect of honorariums. I know he is a recipient of that in large quantities. Anyway, I was thinking of imposing a stiff submission fee instead. So let's see where we go. The first few issues are always challenging, and we'll be with you there. But again, do not test our friendship too hard. All the best, everyone, and who those who conceived the idea and those who have brought it to this stage that we got the first issue of the publication. I really, what should I say? Thank you. Thank you is not enough. I really appreciate your hard work, and you didn't get much of remuneration for that. But all good work, is like that. So keep up the good work, and wish the journal all the best. Thank you.
Maybe we need another research to find out whether the smaller heads retain less or more brain than the bigger heads. We have a dean from School of Health and Life Science, maybe will be leading this research to find out, as our Vice Chancellor mentioned with this. Now, I think is the time to unveil the first issues of the journal. I request especially the associate editors to come forward, and also our guests over there to unveil the journal. Please, our associate editors, especially Professor Hilal Ahmed, Rizwanul Islam, Dr. Bulbul Siddiqui, Dr. Ishat Sultana, and myself as well. So please come forward. I also request student members of CPS to distribute the journal's copy to our guests and faculty members. That's not the end of our session. I think we do have another session as well. Like, as you know, that the journal comes with a special website and the online submission. So now I would like to request our Vice Chancellor, Professor Atiqul Islam, to officially inaugurate the journal website. I would request her to come up on the dais to click on the special button, sir.
Sir, or CPS logo.
এখানে ক্লিক করবো
CPS logo. CPS logo, sir.
এটাতে না
Left side.
ওইটাতে
Double click.
ডাবল ক্লিক
লোকাল একটা ভেন্ডর কোম্পানি করেছে প্রফেশনাল ইয়ে করেছে
যত তাড়াতাড়ি পারেন
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for opening up this new chapter for North South University and also Center for Peace Studies. You can access the current and previous issues through this website, and also you can submit and get the author recognition and reviewer services. We thank the web developer team, especially Mr. Saifuddin and his team for wonderfully designed this website, and also will provide continuous support with us. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. Now, I express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who made this event possible. And I also thank you for your presence here and support, especially the student members of CPS and also my fellow students coming from different departments and different courses joining this session. Thank you. Thank you very much. And also, I would like to thank the IT department and also CPS, staff and research associate and assistant working relentlessly day and night to making this program more successful. And thank you all. And now I would like to conclude this session. Thank you. Student member of CPS, please come forward for a photo session.